Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco to review South Park Season 23, Episode 4. And once again, I have to thank everybody for supporting this channel and watching that South Park Season 23, Episode 2 review that now has over 1,230 likes. I mean views, not likes, but that's great. That's really fantastic. And that really motivates me to do these South Park videos even more. Because although it is fun to review things that you enjoy, a lot of the times it doesn't get the views. We did a review on Phantasm 2 last year, and Phantasm 2 is like one of my favorite horror movies of all time now, and it only got like 10 views or whatever, and so it's really great to see people supporting the South Park. Even though there's 23 seasons, it's still going strong, unlike The Simpsons, which sucks now, and other shows like that. But anyways, for South Park, this episode was pretty good. It was pretty solid. The whole episode is basically about the vegan craze, the vegan fad of like the Impossible meat, where they have this imitation meat and how they're like trying to guilt trip you into eating it, and they're saying, oh, it's secretly healthier for you, and all this crap. And I love it. I love that type of subject on South Park, because you know that they're going to do some over the top things, that they're going to say some truths about it, they're going to do some really funny stuff. And there was quite a bit of comedy in this episode, which should be a normal thing for South Park, obviously. But yeah, this episode, I'd like to first just talk about my opinion on the Impossible Burger, because I did have one. A fellow YouTuber, I'm not going to name his name, but he suggested everybody to go out and get an Impossible Burger to just try it for fun, and to like say what they think about it. And I don't know if it was just the whole day or whatever, but oh, I kind of liked it. It was cold. Number one, I hate Burger King. Number two, I hate Whoppers in general, like just the whole construction. And it was cold, and it kind of tasted like beef, but not really. And it just ugh. And then later on, I started feeling really poorly, and I do have this a lot with, like, in the afternoon I'll crash a little bit, and that's just because I take energy to work out. And I just, afternoons, I wake up really early too, and so afternoons. But this was horrible with this Impossible Burger. It made me feel really sick. One burger too, just one Whopper. I didn't, because I'm on a diet, and so and so it made me feel really bloated. It made me have horrible gas, and it was probably one of the worst afternoons of this whole year, to be truthful. It was awful. And so this episode, I really relate to having that horrible experience with what should be an okay burger. And also, Impossible Burgers, they're not healthy for you, and they're not nearly as healthy for you as beef, and that's just a fact. But anyways, that's not really South Park. So this episode, I love the tie-in to Integrity Farms. That was actually some of the funniest stuff in this episode, was him making weed burgers, essentially. And then also, spoiler alert, there is a scene, like a kill montage scene, and it's so hilarious. It's not as funny as the writing scene in Banned in China, but it's a really funny scene. And there are some really funny moments like that in this episode, like the Impossible shitty beef or the impossible shitty scallops. Just I'll never get sick of that. And but I was kind of disappointed in the ending. I mean, cafeteria food is terrible. There was one time where one of the nacho chips was so hard that I chipped a tooth, and that was in elementary school. It was a baby tooth though, but still it was weird. It was so hard, and and ugh. And then they had these gross chicken patties, and there was one time where there was a solid ball of bone inside the chicken patty, and it was the most disgusting experience ever. And then they would sell you these processed things. They would make like the processed things, or I mean like the more quality, the more price. So they would have these burgers, and the burgers were actually really good. A lot better than McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King, and they would sell them for a lot more money than their crappy processed cafeteria food that they would supposedly make, probably frozen food. But I think that this episode, I don't know what it's trying to say, but it's kind of giving cafeteria food a bad rap. I mean, they have these certain breadsticks, and these breadsticks are like one of my all-time favorite foods. We would have them every week on Fridays, and you just get breadsticks, tomato sauce, and then milk, and then a dessert, and then a side, and that's it. And these breadsticks were amazing. They were cheese filled. They were frozen, but it's a lot more quality than what they're making the food look like in this episode. And they have this goo, this veggie goo, and that was really gross too. And just this episode, although it could have been a gross out episode like last episode, it ended up just kind of being funny. But then at the same time, you're kind of confused on like, are we supposed to be like taking notes and like being informed about this, or are we supposed to laugh at it? Again, this episode was very funny, but it was just a little confusing with its messaging, with the writing, and I didn't really like the ending at all. I felt like maybe it was gearing up for like a twist ending to where, like last episode, like he would do something, and after he had said that nice speech, like maybe he would poison the food so that they wouldn't have to eat that food again, or something like that. I mean, there was one episode where they had like Gordon Ramsay come in and cook the lunch food or whatever, and like the food was like really healthy. I mean, they've already done this subject before, but now they're adding in this vegan concept. And they dealt with that a lot with other places in this episode, but not so much the cafeteria, more so just the subject of should we have vegan lunches in school. And I think the answer is yes, there should be the alternative. But honestly, kids need nutrients, and the last thing they need is to be eating unhealthy vegan food, unless they want to. Whenever I ate school lunch, I was immediately hungry like an hour later, and it was a horrible sick feeling the whole rest of the day. And it was not a very substantial lunch, but still it did kind of fill me up. And in this episode, they had some really good looking food actually. Those ribs and the sloppy, no, it didn't have sloppy joes. But then they had that vegan lunch they showed with just the peas and the mashed potatoes. I mean, ew. And so, yeah, I'm kind of mixed on this episode. I want to like it more than I do, and I like 3/4 of it, but I really don't like the ending. And also, I complained a lot in the last episode about Randy and his sudden turn. Well, he continues to be on the quote good side this episode, and I'm okay with it, to be honest. I was bothered by it last episode, and I still am. I think it was a very sudden turn, and since this whole season is about Tegrity Farms, it confused me. And of course, I mean, Stan's band thing is going nowhere, even though he went off to write another song. And so the elements of the whole season are kind of being affected with each episode, since this is a singular story for the most part. And so in this episode, I was actually okay with how everything was put together. I was okay with the way the story went down, but that ending, basically the ending is, well, I'll give my grade. I give this episode a B, and that's it. No B plus, no B minus, a B. And I was going to give it a B plus, but I just don't like the ending. And the ending is Cartman basically making a speech saying lunch food is already horrible and unhealthy, and so it doesn't matter that this food is being served now, because this food is also horrible and unhealthy, and it reminds me of the regular meat. I just, is it gonna go somewhere or something? Is it gonna lead to something more interesting, another episode? Just, I didn't like that, but I loved the getting high and killing all the cows. That was hilarious. That was very funny. And then, of course, Randy, the whole running joke about it tastes like crap, but who cares? You're going to buy it anyway. That's true. That's very true. And I wish I had never have eaten one, because if I could go back in time right now, I would never eat an Impossible Burger or any vegan burger again. So overall, yeah, this is a pretty good episode. A big improvement on last episode. That's for sure. I was very satisfied with this episode, even though I didn't like the ending, as opposed to last episode, which upset me quite a bit. Not upset me like offended me, but just I didn't like it at all. And so, good job. Keep it going. Keep it going with season 23. You have a pretty good season so far. I'll definitely be going back and watching that Band in China episode, and possibly this episode. So, thank you everybody for watching. Please click the like button. Subscribe to this channel to see more South Park reviews, to see more TV show, movie reviews. And goodbye everybody!